Welcome to this edition of Cover to Cover, and thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Marcy Hernandez with the San Antonio Public Library. The library changes lives in our community every day. One of the library's goals is to anticipate community needs and respond with creativity and innovation. As San Antonio continues to grow, so does the library system. This month, we're excited to open our newest library branch, Encino, on East Evans Road. Today we're joined by the branch's manager, Carrie Montagumba, and Joel Banglin, Public Services Administrator, who will tell us more about the branch and some of its unique features. Carrie and Joel, welcome to Cover to Cover.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. So we're so excited. So tell us, first of all, I mentioned that Encino branch will be on East Evans Road. Can you kind of explain a little bit more about where exactly the branch is located?
Sure, it is. The address is actually 2515 East Evans Road. It's right behind a shopping center that has a Gold's Gym, just before you get into a lot of really popular neighborhoods.
Okay, so past 1604 on 281.
Right,
correct.
Right, exactly.
Okay,
and you basically take a right onto Evans Road.
And this will be Council District 9. And so can you tell us why this particular area of town was chosen for our newest branch?
Sure. This is a service area gap in all of the whole system. There used to be a bookmobile stop out there, and it was one of our most popular stops. And so what we knew was that this was a very literate and very library-using part of town. However, it didn't have a library branch very close to it. So when we were given the opportunity to find a location, I did a little bit of homework and found some intersections and saw some of the properties that were out there, and calculated where our library branches are situated and what service areas that they provide, and then we figured out where the gaps were. So this was a really opportune time to provide library service to a place that didn't have a branch before. We knew that would probably take library services very seriously and really enjoy them, and be a new service to a whole lot of people who didn't have service or a convenient place to go to before that time.
Great, so it sounds like this community then was really wanting and needing a library, so I'm sure that they've been kind of excited about it and really embracing the idea. Can you tell us what went into, how was the public involved in the building of this branch?
The public was involved by several public meetings and hearings and interactions with individuals in the area. Then there were opportunities for the community to gather, and we even had a public meeting there on the property. The council member facilitated quite a few of these meetings also, and we got a lot of feedback from the area. So when we were proposed to do a completely technological library, we heard from the public that we also want a robust print collection there. So we were able to respond to that, and also justify some of the decisions that we made about technology and about the print and the size of the collection there because of what the public said and what they expressed about the services and desires that they wanted from their library branch.
Great. And Carrie, what can you tell us then about the collection and what you can find technology-wise in the branch?
Okay, the branch is full. It is very full of books, of magazines, newspapers, any kind of item that you would find when you walk into a normal library. We will also have it in Encino. We also have a lot of embedded technology. It's not going to scream at you, but it's there. Okay. So we have a very strong Wi-Fi signal for all the digital natives who want to come in and just use the space. We have Mondo pads in all the meeting room spaces, and then also in the teen space and children's space. So that can be used for programming, for teleconferencing. There's so many different uses for those.
Can you kind of explain to your viewers, a Mondo pad is like a giant iPad?
It's kind of like a giant iPad with computer technology kind of added into. You can do a lot of things. It can act as a big whiteboard. You've seen the electronic whiteboards.
Oh, yes.
It can act as a big electronic whiteboard. It has built-in teleconferencing capabilities. You can play a movie on it. You can put a PowerPoint slide on if you need to. You also have the capability of collaborating with a document So if you're in a teleconference, you can also have a document open that both sides are working on.
Oh, fantastic.
So yeah, so it has really good capabilities.
And you said those were in teens, children's, and in the meeting space.
In the meeting room
Okay.
spaces.
Okay, great. And so what other technology, you mentioned Wi-Fi, are there public computers like you
We
would find in
have
other library
several,
branches?
right. It's a smaller collection of public computers that are sit down at this per certain place computers, because we wanted to provide people the opportunity to sit anywhere within the building.
Okay.
So we have circulating laptops that people are welcome to check out just like at any branch, and so that way they can sit in any portion of the library.
Fantastic. And so I know there are a few unique things to this branch. Why don't we talk about first, I think one that seems to be the most popular, and that is this branch will have a drive-through.
Yes, we are very excited.
Yeah, what can you tell us about that?
The drive-through is going to add a very high level of convenience for a community that relies heavily on cars. You know, people commute to work, they take their children places, and the location of the library with the addition of the drive-through basically allows them to make the library part of their stop without having to necessarily get out. So, you know, if the children are sleeping in the back or if they're in a rush to get somewhere, they can still drop off their books and pick up their holds without having to get out of the vehicle.
That's fantastic. And so Joel, the reason that, you know, we've incorporated this drive-through is because of the reuse of what used to be a restaurant. Is that correct?
Right. And that was a great opportunity to try something new for San Antonio Public Library. This will be the first one in our whole system, and one of the first in the state. We aren't the first in the whole state, but this is certainly the first in our libraries here in town and in the close by cities. What we found out about the community was that they were all drivers. Many of them had cars, and commuting was a very important part of their lives. And again, branches are supposed to make things convenient. So when we saw this opportunity for a drive-through window, we thought, well, what could we do through there? You could check out books and borrow books, return books through here, and that's a really convenient way to interact with the library. And we really hope that we provide a service that people will value and find to their advantage, and really see that the library is a pivotal part of their routine.
Yeah, we definitely want to be part of people's routine.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned putting books on hold. Can you explain to viewers who maybe haven't done that before, how exactly does that work?
So the San Antonio Public Library system operates as a floating collection, which basically just means that we share our collection with 27 locations with Encino onto it. So if you want a particular title or a certain CD and it's located at a different branch, you can place it on hold using the library's app, going to the library's website, or by coming into any library. We can always help you with that as well. And then within 5 to 7 working days, the items arrive at your branch with your name on it, so it's only there for you. So yeah, it's a very nice system.
Make sure to have your library card when you're doing that.
Yes, you do have to have a library card.
It helps us out and makes it a little bit faster, and makes it easier for us to help you in a better way.
Great. And so a few other kind of unique things to Encino would be our Create and our Collaborate spaces. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Sure. So Create is basically jumping on the bandwagon of the maker spaces, but on a very large level and permanent level. I mean, it's there. It's a room that's devoted just for this. So we could have artisans from the community coming in and showing off their craft while they make use of our space. The walls looking into it are clear glass, so anybody who is in the hallway can basically watch what's going on inside. We can host programming there for any age group. It just depends on the activity. So the space itself is very durable. We have built-in sink and countertops and basically hard flooring, and that's the only existing furniture in the space. Everything else is mobile. So it's, you know, big carts can be wheeled in, tables that can be wheeled in, a green screen that can be put up. So yeah, we have a lot of uses in mind for it. And then Collaborate basically serves as a digital meeting space. So that space actually has 2 smaller Mondo pads with a nice table that has the built-in technology where you can just, you know, plug in your USB, plug in so you can, you know, charge things, plug in your laptop, whatever you need to do. So people who want to maybe interview for a job in another city but need to be able to do it in front of a webcam, they can do it from this space. You could have meetings. You could, you know, if you have a professor who's giving a lecture and you really want to see it, but they're in Vancouver, you can tune in this way. So.
How fantastic. So what was the motivation or the thought process behind spaces like this? Is this something that people have been wanting? Is this something that we're trying to, you know, be ahead of? You know, what went into thinking about these
I
spaces?
think particularly about the Collaborate space, where it's a digitally enhanced meeting room, we were thinking about the digital native that is a homeowner and a resident of the area at this time, and how they would like to do or how they might conduct business, and how the library can then take a pivotal role or a very important role in that economic development in that community, of providing tools that kind of make the world a smaller place. We are working with a global economy, a global interface, and the technology allows for that, and it provides a space for that person to enhance their home-based business, their own personal enhancement, or their own personal betterment by doing some distance classes. I mean, we're looking at the applications of distance learning, looking at the applications of just business collaboration between the individual proprietor and the library and other outlets to stimulate the economy there. We really wanted to see that, you know, we wanted to take the place of going to the cafe. We wanted people to come to the library. Right. Instead of going to the cafe and doing that business meeting and letting everybody else hear your business, you know, we wanted to take that role, instead house and harbor that sort of activity that we want people to think, hey, let's go to the library and do this. Yeah. Or let's meet at the library. Instead of, you know, you might be an individual entrepreneur and say, I need to meet with a client, but I run my business out of my own home. I don't want to do that at home. Right. Someone I've never met. Why don't we go to a public place like a library? Right now, most people are going to cafes or different restaurants where they have the distractions of everything else. Right. Here, we have it in a library setting where it's built to collaborate and to do a lot of teamwork over long distances. So you'll be able to bring in your own technology, especially if your own laptop computer has some of these communication softwares, cameras and microphones. You could certainly bring in your own cell phone and do a conference call that way. And so we were really trying to be cutting edge and thoughtful of the economy and the users that reside in the area.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, we're really looking forward to the opening of the branch. Where can people find more information?
If you go to the library's website at mysapl.org, it's mysapl.org, under locations, Encino is now there, so you can go there to find all kinds of information.
Well, I really appreciate you guys joining us and letting the viewers know about the branch, and we look forward to visiting. Now it's time for a short break, but when we come back, Jennifer Velasquez, Teen Services Coordinator, is here to share some information about an exciting new addition to the Central Library downtown. Stick around.
Hey, San Antonio, we've just made recycling even easier. You can now recycle your plastic bags in the Blue Cart. That's right, from home, in your Blue Cart. Easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Remove all paper and receipts from the bags and make sure they're clean and dry. 2. Stuff all your bags into one, like a big soccer ball, and tie the handles tight. Oh, and be sure not to include any black bags. 3. Toss the bundle into your Blue Cart. That's it. 1, 2, 3. And you're now recycling plastic bags. Cool, huh?
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back to Cover to Cover. Today we're talking about some exciting new additions to the San Antonio Public Library system. This month, the library is celebrating the grand opening of our newest library branch on East Evans Road and the opening of a new teen library at Central Library. Joining us today is Jennifer Velasquez, Teen Services Coordinator, to share more about what we can expect from the new teen library. Welcome, Jennifer.
Hi, Marcy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome.
So are we totally excited about what's coming up this month?
You know, I have to tell you that the opening of the new teen library is really going to be a wonderful event and a wonderful addition to all of the services that the San Antonio Public Library provides the community.
Good. So what can people expect? Well, first of all, tell us a little bit about how the process started. Why is it that we needed a new teen library?
You know, it's hard to imagine that our San Antonio Public Library is turning 20 years old.
Oh my gosh.
We still look good, right? But when the library opened in 1995, it opened without a designated space for teenagers. I guess teenagers had not been invented yet in San Antonio. So one of the things we wanted to do to celebrate that 20th anniversary was make this wonderful addition for 13 to 18-year-olds. So it's been a process of really constructing service and constructing physical space in the existing Central Library downtown.
I see. So what have teens been doing previous to this new library opening?
You know, in 1997, way back when, we opened the very first sort of teen area in the Central Library. We were in the corner of the first floor, and it was sort of an ad hoc addition to services and to an arrangement of space there. And so there's been a space for 13 to 18-year-olds, and we sort of grew into that space. But what's so wonderful now is we're going to move that designated space for teens up to the third floor. We're going to have 6,000 square feet dedicated just to high school age teenagers, where they can explore information, they can participate in outstanding activities and events, and the library will be there to help them with academic success as well.
That's great. Now, something I think I've heard in the past, probably from you, is that the teen area was the first area in the library to provide public internet. Is that correct?
Absolutely. In fact, we were the first venue in the community that provided free internet service to the public anywhere. So it was really, so if you can imagine back in 1997, that sort of HTML
no, I
looking,
can't even picture it, no.
that sort of HTML looking World Wide Web, it was teens that really embraced that, and it was the library that really was the first venue, and still is one of the strongest venues in the community where people can go for internet access.
That's so interesting. And so kind of share with our viewers, unfortunately, I think the perception is that why are teenagers at the library? They don't want to hang out at the library. But tell us, you know, why is that the place for them, and why do they want to be there? I know that we have, you know, a really strong group of regular teenage patrons. Kind of explain why that is.
You know, I think that when you think of library service, you sort of think of that very traditional keystone service of story time. And certainly San Antonio Public Library has really one of the most outstanding children's services sort of selection of programs and materials, and it's well loved by parents and by kids. And so we want to be sure that people understand that as those kids that are going to Storytime grow up and grow into their teen years, that the library is still really a super relevant place for them.
Yeah.
And while their needs may change, because developmentally they're changing, the library is there to support all of those changing needs. So instead of now learning to read and understanding what books are, now teens are using books to explore the world, to excel academically, and to really express their creativity and interests they may have.
That's great. And so another, I think, perception is that you have to be quiet in a library. And so you don't always equate teenagers with being quiet. But that's definitely not the case, especially in the teen services department.
You know, it is not the case at all. And, you know, I think that people who maybe have not visited their public library in a while may have that. I guess that's a stereotype about libraries and librarians, that we're running around shushing people. But certainly the teen services that we have now and the space we're going to grow into is a vibrant space. And it's there where teens can explore music, they can explore technology, they can socialize and really have a good time and relax. But we balance that with really outstanding programming and opportunities for teens to really take ownership of their space and their library service.
See, I like that you mentioned, so by taking ownership, it's really the teens who are driving the kind of programming that the librarians are putting together.
Right, absolutely.
Correct?
And what I'd say is what really differentiates our teen space is that teens were really at the forefront of sort of expressing what the needs were. So it literally went from what do you want to do when you go to the library and sort of bubble diagramming around that to get to the space where we're going to be moving into.
Great. So tell us a little bit about within the teen library space, what are some of the other spaces?
You know, what I think is really interesting is we're really doing super traditional things in kind of incredibly cutting edge ways. So when you visit the new teen library, you will walk into the space and you'll see that there's an area that's particular to learning, and that is a lab space that has a 3D printer and a 3D scanner, and we'll have a fabricator there in a couple of months, so that teens can start to explore sort of the idea of drawing in model space and then printing in 3D those creations that they develop in model space. There's also a studio in the space, and it's going to be beautiful. It's a soundproof studio, and so teens can go in there and explore music recording. They can record video with green screen, edit that video, edit music, and you talked about noise before. You know, we have electric guitars that teens love to play with. And what we're about at the library is having teens be able to explore those interests, like 3D printing or playing the electric guitar, at whatever level they're comfortable with. So if they want to just experiment with it and try it, that's great. But if they want to, they can gain an expertise or bring an expertise with them to the library.
Teach others.
Exactly, and express that. And we really are about having teens develop and implement programming for themselves and their peers. And the new space is going to facilitate that in a really interesting way. We have a multi-purpose space that is new to the whole sort of arsenal of things that we're able to offer teens, that really transforms itself into a space where you could paint, or you could dance, or you could take a class. We really want to let teens drive where those interests will go and put them at the forefront of leading those sort of programs.
That's fantastic. And so we say teens, obviously, but what are the requirements? I mean, people don't know, do I have to pay for these things? You know, how do I get involved? So tell us.
You know, what's so wonderful is if you have a San Antonio Public Library card, that opens the door to just so many opportunities for you and your family. And a San Antonio Public Library card is free, and that is the best, but that is the price that I can afford for things. So all the downloadable audio, all the downloadable video and books that we have, plus all of the programming and really all of the resources that you can check out and take home, it's all free. Great. So we want teens to know that if they visit their public library, they'll be able to check out books, they'll be able to use online homework help to help them with math, science, social studies, and English, and attend all of the programming that may be of interest to them.
That's fantastic. And so this new teen library, of course, is going to be at the Central Library. Can you tell our viewers where to look for it in the library?
Sure. It's on the 3rd floor. So when you walk into the library, you will press the elevator button to 3 and
or hop on the escalator.
Or hop on the escalator. And you know, the 3rd floor has been the children's floor, but we're actually moving into a wing that has not been previously open to the public.
Oh, wow.
So it's been totally revamped to be really a state-of-the-art high school age teen center.
Great. And it's kind of a nice transition, you know, for those that are children used
Absolutely.
to using the children's space, moving through that hallway.
Absolutely.
And,
and again, reinforcing that idea that the wonderful children's services that are available at the library, you grow up into teen services. And you know, we've got really robust teen services at all of our branch libraries. So we want to encourage people who maybe haven't taken their children since storytime age to see what's going on at your local library for teenagers 13 to 18.
And so what would you say, I'm glad you brought that up, what would you say to parents? You know, obviously it's not something you can force your teenagers to do, right? But how would you, what would you share with parents to encourage them to at least get their teenagers to check it out?
You know, it's so interesting that you say that, because we sort of have a dilemma, because if mom says it's good, how good could it really be? So what can an adult say to a teen? I think that...
Don't do that, honey. Don't you dare.
I think maybe just having them visit would be the best thing to do. Once they get there, you know, there's
exactly see what's going on.
There's just wonderful resources. The space is beautiful, and the staff is extraordinary, and they'll welcome teens and really try to discover their interests, see what they need and what they want from their public library.
That's great, and I know that word of mouth is typically how most teenagers find out about it. So
absolutely
great. And if you could mention just really quick, we're almost out of time. But if you could mention for those that are interested in service hours.
Oh yes.
How can they get involved?
Thank you for bringing that up, Marcy. You know, we're talking a lot about teens taking ownership of the space and taking ownership of the programming, and one of the things that may get parents will encourage parents to encourage teens to visit the library is teens who become volunteers with the library can earn volunteer service hours. You know, so many schools or NHS, you need those particular number of service hours to get through the academic year, to get through and graduate. And the library is a wonderful venue in the community where teens can do that. And it's not going to be them shelving books in terrible conditions. It's them, you know, I have a group of boys now that are doing a video game tournament, and they're earning their volunteer service hours that way. I have a young woman who writes book reviews for our online blog, and she earns volunteer service hours that way. So whatever teens' interests may be, we try and key in on that, and that's the volunteer opportunity that we provide.
Well, that sounds great. Well, we really appreciate you sharing all the information. Where can people go for more?
You know, they can go to MYSAPL, my San Antonio Public Library.org.
Fantastic. Well, I'd like to thank you again for being here today. For more information about these and other happenings coming up at the library, head to our website, mysapl.org, or follow us on Twitter or Facebook. Tune in next month for our next edition of Cover to Cover. See you then.